Okay, Mika. So you were saying the last time that we stopped off, you made a statement about the our forefathers.
Yeah. I was saying, like, I don't feel like they failed us or anything of that nature. I think they did the best that they could with what they had. And because now everything is like technology, they didn't have any of this. And they did so much with so little. And I'm thinking, well, I know, because you know that too. Like, they did pave the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's where it's supposed to stop at, though, because if we're in a position where we're continuing to do what with the information that they gave us some great tools that worked and kind of didn't work for them because they were limited with what they could do in that particular era. Now we have a lot more resources
Yeah.
that we can utilize, but that doesn't mean that we don't hold reverence or we don't respect or we become disrespectful or I guess passe with our forefathers. We still owe them that respect, but at the same time, they can't tell us about finances. They can't tell us about assets. They can't tell us nothing about investments now because they didn't have those resources to venture into that aspect with. So now, I guess that brings us to the political side where we can delve more into that leadership, because if we're willing to say that about our grandparents and have that acknowledgement, meaning that, okay, we see where it is that you brought us, but we got it from here. Should the same thing be said with our political party and politicians? Or James, what's the what do you think? What topic do we have to discuss our political, I guess, where we are politically?
We have one, has the political influence affected the culture? If so, how? Two, did civil rights era lead our community in the wrong direction? Three, do political alliances hurt or help our political stance in America? Number four, has the leadership collectively deceived the people? And number five, is self-sufficiency a possibility?
We about to have some folks mad at us. These some good topics. And it's gonna hurt some feelings. It's gonna hurt some feelings, but somebody gotta discuss it. Let's go, Mika.
Okay. I don't know which one I want to tackle first because has it hurt us? Has it hurt us? And us meaning like my complexion, my people. Okay. Yeah, it has. Because I'm gonna start with this. The Democratic Party.
Okay.
What is it doing right now? Not has it done, but like, what is it doing right now for us? Like, is it helping? Are the people really showing up and giving accountability for what we need them to do? And I don't feel like they are, because it's too much destruction right now.
It's as if, to me personally, the perspective that I have about it, it's cultivating, or it has cultivated, a sense of dependency. And so anytime that you go out and have we need somebody, or they need to, or somebody need to blah, blah, blah. And if you're telling people all of that, of which you cannot do for yourself, or you're not taking the initiative to go out and fix for yourself, you're telling the exact same people that need you to be dependent upon them what it is that they don't need to give you.
Ooh. Oh.
You're telling them exactly what it is that if you're hungry and you're working for me, I still need some productivity out of you. I'm gonna feed you some snacks. I'm not gonna feed you enough to get you full. I'm gonna give you just enough breadcrumbs. The wicked witch, not the wicked witch, on Hansel and Gretel, she put out them breadcrumbs to lead them right into her oven.
Yeah.
It's like we've given them something for nothing for the last 50, 60 years. And I feel like political alliances hurt us because whenever we pledge allegiance to one party, then you run the risk of being marginalized to where, okay, well, yes, your issues are important, but as far as the bigger scope and you know where we're really trying to go, we really need to push these things. So we're gonna work on your stuff the next time. And then you have an issue with polarization to where people, if you talk to people in the same party about, well, you know, I'm going to see, you know, if we can work across party lines and achieve something, because I feel like we have, you know, we have the same issue, and if we put our heads together, then we can really, you know, affect change. Mm-hmm. And people will look at you like, what? You thinking about
crossing parties? You want to work with the Republicans?
You a Republican now?
But you have a lot of Democrats doing Republican stuff. You know what I'm saying? To us. And that's like little boy in you or little girl in you. You know, just like you said, we're going to help you. But just wait. We got to put it on the schedule. Yeah. And it keeps getting put off, and you're study giving your vote. Because our votes are very important. Yeah. If they weren't, people wouldn't, you know, come around, hey, I need you to vote for me. I need your support. I need your donations. Like, and that's another thing. How the money moves the votes. How the money moves the world. Period. You know, people are thinking about just the presidential votes, but ooh, when you start thinking about the city council and how that money move and work, you'll have yourself at every election making sure not only you're voting, but mom and daddy voting, grandma and them voting. If they ain't got it right, like, get these people to the polls if you really want to make a difference and make your vote count, and hold them accountable for what they said they're gonna do. If the people aren't gonna do it, I'm not gonna say don't go vote because such and such didn't do it this time. No. You see how them people be downtown at the Capitol with signs? They want to be heard.
Well, you make two valuable points.
Okay.
First point is 2010. Second point is the presidential election. I'll go with the latter first.
Okay.
We shouldn't care. We shouldn't give three rats' ass about who's president right now.
Right. Ooh.
Because who's president right now doesn't affect me directly in Brandon,
right,
in Flowood,
no,
in Rankin County.
Period.
So if I go out, and this, I've always wanted to say this, and I've always said it in my barbershop, but I always want to tell everybody, your state and local voting is more important than your national vote.
Come on. People don't understand that. I need you to really break that down to our listeners, to our followers, because nobody really, like, it's people. Now, we're not saying you're not educated enough to understand this, but it's some people that do follow us that have no idea how important it is for that election right there. I really need you to.
Okay, so and I guess I'll go top bottom.
Yes, please.
Okay, so if we're talking about electoral votes, if we're talking about state representatives, if we're talking about anything that we need to get federal funding for the state, who you send from here to get things done up there, you don't get things done up there if you don't send the right person from here.
Ooh.
And I don't care whether or not, and this is the villain's perspective.
Yes.
I don't care what's going on in Israel more than I care. I care more about what's going on from Highway 80 to Lewis Wilson That's where I work. That's where I work, and that's where I stay.
Yeah.
That's what most important. That's what's most important to me. I want to make sure that my wife, who don't know how to swerve and not hit a bump, I want to make sure that there are no potholes for her to run over.
Yeah.
Do you hear
Because
me?
she ain't met a pothole that she ain't never liked and tried out. So what I'm saying is, if my
Ouch. I'm guilty.
if my elected officials, can make sure that as soon as there's a downpour, and as soon as that downpour and somebody calls in and say, hey, there's a pothole starting on Lewis Whistle or on Highway 8. I know the officials that we have in there right now, we're on it.
Yeah.
The gentlemen that come in here that work for the city, like, oh yeah, man, we spent all day working on potholes and the drainage. And last year around this time when the torrential downfalls were coming,
Ooh.
everybody was flooding. We're not
Everybody.
having that problem right now because of the elected officials around here. And if you're living in an area where nothing's being done, you're the fault. You're the fault why your alderman isn't doing anything where it is that you stay.
Ooh. Is it their fault because they're not voting, or is it their fault that they're not demanding something be done?
It's their fault because they're saying, because that person doesn't belong to my political party, I'm not going to have any involvement in it. So you mean to tell me if your alderman is a Republican and you're a Democrat, or or vice versa, if your alderman is a Democrat and you're a Republican, you're gonna sit back with your lips poked and your arms crossed? I'm not gonna have nothing to do with none of them for the next 4 years. You can sit your crazy ass over there. I work with everybody that I don't like.
Yeah, you need to.
Have we been conditioned that way though? Because
Absolutely.
Yes.
when you think about campaigns, like as far back as I can remember, since I've been old enough to pay attention, like
Okay.
starting back with when Diddy, I saw him on his campaign, Vote or Die. And every year, we see campaigns,
Yeah.
talking about the presidential election, but I've never really seen a countrywide campaign or anything at that level telling people the importance of, you need to get in these local elections and make sure, you get affecting change where you live.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the next topic about our political affiliation. What was that next topic?
Do political alliances hurt or help?
Political alliances. So you're talking about the Vote or Die campaign that Diddy had, right? When was the last, this year, an election year, where's all the marketing for the voting to be done? Because truth be told, it's as if the Democrats brought in new voters. They brought in new voters because there's no need of campaigning to the already existing constituents that we have. Because we got them, we got them screwed up in the mind. We already know that they're gonna vote.
Yeah.
No.
And we know how they're gonna vote.
Yeah. Strong black women, the LGBTQ community, and we already know most of the black men ain't gonna vote. So why even campaign to them? Because we already got their votes locked in. But we want extra votes. So when the border is being overrun, and then they give the Democrat Party right now, the Democrat administration is giving them stifling. They're giving them working class people, black and white. They're giving them those working class people money, their tax money is going towards subsidized housing, health care, and a number of other things. And if you're a working class American, black or white, if you're a working class American, you should be pissed off that your Social Security is being spent right now on somebody that hadn't put it into the system.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed off just from that, Republican or Democrat.
Yeah.
Just as a worker.
Yeah.
You mean who getting my money? And he ain't did what?
Nothing.
And he said for free. The only people that stay for free people in jail.
Man,
You can't stay in the hospital for free. You can't stay in my house for free.
It will put you
And they
out.
get to pay. They get to stay where for free?
Yeah, yeah,
Here.
yeah, yeah.
At one point, there were college students paying for tuition, going to college, learning remotely because supposedly immigrants were staying in the dorms. The hell you preach?
Whoa.
Supposedly, huh?
Yeah.
You know.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
Make
allegedly.
sure you
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that.
Yeah, because the Village Podcast lawyers.
Right. Right. Allegedly. Yeah. Hey. Woo.
so as far as where we are, like in those situations, if we talk about the way, like I haven't seen anybody feel a certain way or even talk about that, like to say, oh, well, that's wrong or that's right. So it kind of, when I look at the next topic, it says, has political influence affected the culture? And if so, how? How do you think political influence has led us to where we are? To where you talk about, they're going to get our vote anyway.
Because we've been conditioned to vote, however, especially if you go to church.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's one thing. If you're in church, they are already going to be letting you know, hey, we're going with this candidate because that candidate has already spoken with.
Grease some pockets. Let's call it what it is. It's grease pockets or grease palms. Yeah, bought their way into.
And we're all learning this. So this isn't something it might be new to me now.
Yeah.
But this has been going on for a long
it's the
time. How do you
culture.
feel about that?
I never understood that. Even as a kid, like the times I've seen politicians in church, they would come and they would, do their song and dance and acknowledge racism.
Not song and dance.
That's what it was.
And it's almost like that line in Waiting to Exhale. He's a good man, Savannah. And it's like he's a good man just because he acknowledged racism, something that we all know exists.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But how does that translate from, okay, he's a good man, he acknowledged racism, to that's worthy of getting our vote just because he acknowledged racism?
Because he put something in their pocket before he acknowledged all that. So
Okay.
that's what made him a good man.
Well, all that still goes back. It goes back to the indoctrination of dependency.
Yeah.
And now that dependency has calcified, it actually looks like it actually looks like entitlement.
Yeah.
Because you got 3 generations of. Let's go all the way back to the origins of where it is that we started to have or build this mindset of dependency. So, and I think we talked about it once before, but and I go through it as fast as possible.
Okay.
So, coming fresh out of because the Civil War ended the agricultural era, and it ushered in the industrial era.
Mm-hmm.
So for that first 30 years, and let's round it off to a solid number because we just came out of Juneteenth. So let's say 5 years later after slavery, you're starting at 1870. So from 1870 to 1900, the turn of the century, there was 30 years of Reconstruction. And so Reconstruction was they were reconstructing the Constitution because Black people were coming into the world, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But they also was reconstructing the United States and the makeup of its economics. So the agricultural era was ending and the industrial era was beginning. So that's factory jobs, steel, all of that. So from 1900 to 1950, that's 80 years. Now, what happened in that 80 years that we don't know much about in terms of the African American culture was in 1871, Alcorn is open.
Okay.
1877, Jackson State is open.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me that black folks who probably were the closest to slavery,
Mm-hmm.
if they weren't suffering from PTSD,
Mm.
if they weren't suffering from the effects of slavery,
Mhm.
nobody in 2021, 2022, 2023, 24 get to scream, this is because of the effects of slavery. Because from 1900 to 1950, the black areas, the black towns, the black side of towns, they were outpacing any other nationality or any other ethnic side of town because everything's segregated.
Right.
And so black people weren't allowed to go and patronize other businesses. So they said, the hell with it. We'll just create our own businesses. So we're going to make our own grocery stores, our own doctors, own movie theaters, own swimming pools, own everything. And their money circulated in their particular areas. So they became self-sufficient. The government said, adios, mijo, we screwed up.
Pull it together.
So we need to siphon some of that money
Yes.
out of their areas because we're leaving a lot of money on the table. And if these people become self-sufficient, they won't need us anymore.
Right.
So Lyndon B. Johnson said, the country's in turmoil. I'm gonna sign this civil rights bill for integration and a whole lot of things. But I'm also going to create this platform for welfare. What welfare and integration did was it funneled integration funneled money out of the black community because black people were going to spend money to get the white experience at white places that they weren't allowed. But they also said, well, no white people are going over here to patronize black businesses.
Mhm.
So that made black businesses fail. So money's leaving out. And while the money's leaving out this way, they're saying, okay, now that y'all don't have any money, you can get on welfare. We have government programs to help you. Well, we didn't need government programs before then because you wasn't letting us get no money because we had to become self-sufficient. Why in the fuck did we get government programs then?
Yeah.
If it weren't advantageous for the government to make black people dependent on or minorities.
Yeah, say minority.
So the reason that you have to say minorities is because at that point, all minorities benefited from the Separate but Equal Act.
Yeah.
And the Separate but Equal Act said that you can come get some money from the government for whatever the interest rate is. We're going to subsidize whatever it is that you need. So the Asians was like, so brother, why do you want to go over there and patronize this? Because what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to build up Little Korea or we're going to Little Italy or Little China.
Yeah.
So they built up their respective areas.
Mm-hmm.
The black people said, well, we're going to take our money and we're going to go buy houses in the white neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Y'all been doing good for this long, staying in your own areas. The black people just, our politicians and our leaders are telling us that we need to be able to go over here and we need to be able to do blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because we were trusting charismatic. Because we all know what carpetbaggers were back during Reconstruction. There were people that were coming down to the South acting like they was somebody else, acting like they was for blah, 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 but then they was really getting us to do X, Y, Z. So, I mean, it's so much trickery in it that once you start to untangle that ball of rubber bands to see how it is that we started thinking, how it is, it's easy. And the reason that I always go back to that is because when people say, we're doing bad right now. All right, so you're complaining about the product of the problem. Let's go back to the problem. When did we started thinking like that?
Yeah.
When did we start acting that way? Why did we start? And so when you trace it all the way back to charismatic leaders saying, so all the rich need to pay for the blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, if I'm self-sufficient, I don't need anybody to do it. And why? It's hard for a man to do two things: say I'm sorry and ask for help if he a real man.
Yeah.
Because first, I'm going to exercise all possibilities of me doing it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to ask.
Yes.
And I'm on bending knee at that point, and don't ask me why, don't ask me when, just I need it right now because I've done everything that I could possibly
You do. Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't need for my wife because I don't want her losing confidence. And that's why it's so hard for a man to ask for help, because it's like I got my son looking up to me and I got my wife dependent on me.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody asks me something, I'm like, bro, you don't need to, don't tell me, I'm not about to put you in a position where you're about to tell me why I need to know why you need, if we done broke bread and drunk wine and I know what type of character that you have. I'm not about to put you through that because my ego ain't that big to where if you already broke down, the last thing I'm gonna do is, so when you gonna give it back to me and what you need it for? And you blah, blah, blah. And so, no. That's character. But our political leaders didn't say that. They said, well, you need to be over here spending money here and you need to be doing blah, blah. And these people deserve X, Y, Z, and they should give you, because you put in, you're talking about the same people that have been selfish from day one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask them to not be selfish and to give up a piece of their
Yeah. That's kind of insane right there.
right.
Yeah.
I think when you look at the policies, like we went from being included in certain policies to the policies that were put in place to so-called help us. It was really breaking apart our families, like welfare policies that it almost created this dependence as far as an economic dependence. And like when you think about the
It
man,
promoted the destruction of the nuclear family as well.
yeah.
But go ahead.
Mhm.
When you think about the man out of the house rule,
Yeah.
and like even going to like the criminal justice system, the war on drugs, 1994 crime bill, and the response to the crack epidemic. Look at that compared to the response to the opioid epidemic.
Mhm.
You know, measures were more punitive for the crack. It was looked at as criminality versus the opioid epidemic is looked at as a public health crisis, and there's all kind of avenues and things put in place to help people. And we got, we got to do things to prevent overdosing and people's dependency on these drugs, and they're not funneling people into prisons. And even in what was the education program in 2001, No Child Left Behind.
Yeah.
Even that, it was supposed to help improve schools, but it was really it penalized underperforming schools and didn't give them adequate resources
At all.
to improve and affect change. So all these things, it is really like these people are not our friends. Like
At all.
we went from being excluded to, all right, well, it's almost like a diabolical trick to
It was
divide.
a great
Yeah.
division.
Yeah.
So, all right, so with that, and if we're gonna fast forward to, so if you're saying with the 94 crime bill and the prison to school, the school to prison pipeline, and all of the contributing factors, but we also you cannot mitigate the fact that if you go back to the Iran-Contra, Oliver North's testimony was, we came up with this idea of flooding poor communities with drugs to get money to give to the Contras, and our hands were gonna be clean because we got the money from the drugs that we were selling to go buy the guns to give to the people that we were going to get to cancel the Muammar Gaddafi. So the reason that they wanted to take Muammar Gaddafi out was simply because the United States has stole everybody's gold. And everybody said, well, shoot, we're no longer going to back, we don't have gold to back our currency, so let's just back our currency with oil. But Muammar Gaddafi was sitting on the most oil. And so the United States was like, well, we just take everybody's oil. Because what Muammar Gaddafi was doing for his people, he was like, y'all ain't got to work no more. We selling so much oil, we're going to give government subsidies to everybody. Y'all can just go do other stuff that are more productive. And I don't know, his people loved him. And that's another story. But our political defenses that were communicating with the people that were being taken advantage of, those people knew it. It's just like right now, if anybody were to run for Democrat in Rankin County, through no fault of nobody's own, they don't know that most Democrats are running frivolously. And I'll call them out right here. Because how can you go out and say that you're going to run for Democrat when all of the lines have been drawn up to divide any place where you can accumulate a certain demographic? A line has been cut through most of those places. So if a line has been cut through,
what are you doing?
What the hell are you running for?
Yeah.
And you should know this if you're going to be a politician, but you're selling promises. You're selling promises for the benefit of what? Lining a pocket? Or just tricking me? Or you so it's just like
It was all a dream.
I'm talking about, you can read that in Word Up magazine. So
when you say the people knew, like during civil rights, do you feel like Martin Luther King knew?
I don't think he knew that he was a sucker.
Wait.
He don't know he was a sucker. And the reason the reason that I can say that I don't think that he knew that he was a sucker, because he said it right before he died. I think I've walked my people into a burn. So if you go back and look at, if the black community, if you're telling the same black community that is self-sufficient, that you need to go somewhere, you're telling me you want to go eat where somebody don't want you, the food ain't to your liking, and you trusting them to cook that food behind closed doors. You sound like a fool. We don't even eat everybody potato salad. And you begging to go eat in a restaurant where the owner don't want you there? And then the government comes and arrests you
for being there?
When the government has already said segregation is illegal. And then the government come and arrest you for bringing attention to the people that are breaking the law.
Yeah.
The hell are you talking about?
So when you look at all these policies, I feel like it's affected. Well, I was thinking that it affected societal perceptions originally, but I think about, when have the only time we've ever seen ourselves reflected positively in media or in anything, it's been our stories, like us telling the story of it.
Yeah, it's got to be us telling the story of it.
Yeah, and when I think about like perceptions based on all those policies that we talked about and the effects of them, and the way that some of us choose to self-identify, like I've known, not many, but I've known some people like throughout my life that they try to lump things into a box of what's defined as black, even though based on the negative stuff that we see in the bottom rungs of black society. But I feel like, it's a spectrum of what is black, because we've done it all. You know what I mean?
Come on now.
And I feel like things like this, a podcast or black media, like it's important because we get to tell our own stories and make sure that we put it out in a way that shows us in an accurate light, as opposed to negative light, which compounds the problem. But what do you guys feel like that was all a part of the plan, like, or that was just that was just an end result, like, of all these policies, like that contributed to breaking apart our families and
Oh, that was definitely the plan.
I mean, because when you look at the media, that's
Yeah.
what you see.
That's exactly what you see.
Mhm.
To divide, and they have conquered that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And pretty much every area.
I think America is working perfectly right now. Because the system is working perfectly. I mean, because the more that we're talking about these black issues, poor white sides of town are suffering the same way. So it's just like the same system is working against everybody who falls for the believing of how the system benefits. And because affluent people can live diversely in their particular areas because they have a clear understanding of, oh, you didn't fall for it, and you learn how to work capitalism. Whereas the working class are all at each other's throat, being entertained. Me and Shayna had a conversation one time, and this was during COVID, and she was just like, well, it's like you just been on your phone all day long, because at that point I had stopped looking at TV and listening to music. And it was a perfect opportunity because we had been in there for like 2 or 3 days, and everybody was stuck inside. And I was like, no, I've elected to not be entertained anymore. I want to be informed. So now politicians take full advantage of the ill-informed. They are a breeding ground for getting things done. Because if you can cultivate a bunch of noise, I always say it, broke people got the most amount of time to be in the midst of shit.
Oh yeah, they have nothing but time.
Right. And so they always got time to argue. Ooh. They always got time to correct somebody. They got a whole bunch of time to do a whole bunch of stuff that don't make them no money.
Come on.
And the question was, the question that you're asking is pertaining to, is it a part of the play? Yeah, it's perfectly designed. America is working perfectly, because if you can keep the working class working and trying to figure out whether or not, all right, think about it like this. Here's the origins of that. When countries used to go to war, that was the only time that they implemented the tax system. Well, you in order to benefit the country, bring us your money and bring us some of your stuff.
Okay.
And that would make sure that we're able to fashion tools and put armor on people and feed the horses and build carriages, whatever. And then that was the only time that tax was brought up. Then it got to the point to where some of the people, individuals, like, there are people, if we can get money together to do that, then we can get some money together to take care of some of these poor villagers. And so they were like, you need to make sure that the lords and the barons pay blah blah blah. And so the lords and the barons, like, for a couple of years, they was like, yeah, I get it, but if they want to take care of them folks, they'll do it themselves.
All right.
So we'll do it for right now, but we're going to figure out a way to turn it back on them. So now let's come to 2024. You mean to tell me the working class people that vote for government subsidies and government programs, you're already getting paid the least? They just had this debate about black jobs. These are the same people that are saying, I get paid the least and this ain't fair. No, they said, I get paid the least and this ain't fair. Then out the other side of their mouth said, we need government programs. And then somebody says, and we'll get the rich people to pay for it. Well, if you're getting paid the least and you're asking for government programs and tax money has to pay for it, so you're asking for more money to be taken out of your check that you already ain't getting paid shit. Woo. That goes back to asking for some food at a restaurant that people that don't like you and fixing the food, and they ain't even preparing the food how it is that you like it.
And that is why we have this podcast, because we want to inform you on what it is that we are lacking in the black community.
Yeah.
right there.
Even if it makes us the bad guy.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like half of the people that don't like me.
Hey, I know they don't like me. They're like, what is she doing up there? I'm not judging you. I'm trying to inform you.
And you kind of touched on this earlier, but one of the questions is, has the leadership collectively deceived the people?
I want you to speak first on that. Woo! James is a good leader. Come on, James. You put some heat on that.
I'm gonna keep it short.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
What
Woo!
you think, Mika?
Woo!
Yes.
Yes. Shoot. Come on now.
What you think, Jeremy?
If we created a town where the three branches of government, legislative, judicial, executive, somebody's going to have to make sure, now this is the Village Perspective podcast.
Come on with it.
Somebody's going to have to make sure that a certain side of the town gets shitted on. Because I don't want to leave to chance whether or not there's somebody hopping on the back of a garbage truck. I want to ensure that we got somebody to shake salt on fries, jump on the back of garbage trucks, and clean out the sewers. Has the government deceived us? Those that fall for the shit. If you don't fall for it, you ain't deceived.
Right.
So, yes.
Agreed.
Yes.
For all the reasons we've already discussed.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you hit on it earlier whenever I asked you if you felt like Martin Luther King knew the direction. But
I don't think he did. At first, I think he had good intentions, but I think he had such a strong desire for approval.
Mm-hmm.
I think his aspirations were more emotionally led by validation, but not logically led. Now, we can't get savviness and a beautiful plethora of words
Come on.
that are strung together charismatically confused with intelligent,
Okay.
because we all know charismatic people that, I mean, if you listen to a drunk long enough, he'll make you realize that drinking and hanging out around the barrel is a good thing to do, because I mean, you don't have to have the pitfalls of defeat and despair. If you don't have any assets and don't have the aspiration to acquire any assets, you won't live a troubled life. Just, make just enough money just to get you something to drink, keep a roof over your head, and get you something to eat, and that's it.
Now you need that little government assistance again.
Yeah. Along with that question, so did civil rights era lead our community in the wrong direction?
I don't think it meant to. But right now, when he keeps that, it's 2024 right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you in 2024, if you can out loud say these are the effects of slavery, shut the hell up, because they constructed a institution of higher learning 5 years after slavery, 6 years after slavery, and slavery ended in 1865, and Alcorn State and Jackson State was 6 years, and what was it? 65, and then you got 1871, and then you got 1877.
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me slaves that had not been educated
Come on.
created an institution of higher learning?
Because they wanted their children, grandchildren,
And they
nieces and
understood the
nephews.
importance of education
Ooh,
and self-sufficiency.
yes. And we are so weakened by that now. Our community is so weakened by that. I'm saying, like, seriously, nobody really want to put in the work to get themselves, not even their families, because they don't have families from the start, to get themselves where they need to be.
Yeah.
Without standing in the welfare line. And I'm not saying, hey, you don't ask for help, because just because you're in that line doesn't mean like you're a single parent and can't do it's like it's a whole rainbow of people in that grouping, you know what I'm saying? But if some of the people that's actually in the grouping would do the work, they wouldn't be in there.
I said earlier, we were in here, a couple of us were in here. I said everybody has to be in a position to where you need to show what it is that you've done, because if we're all going to take care of each other, we need to weed out who doesn't have the capability of taking care of themselves.
Come on.
So at that point, if we said we're going to defect, we don't want to follow any. Well, I'll make that statement later when we're talking about solutions. But
Okay.
if we're placing ourselves in a position where we have to get a clear understanding of the direction that we've had. And where it is that civil rights has led us, we have to figure out the origins of civil rights. And that goes back to what I was saying just a minute ago. Civil rights is different than integration. Civil rights, it means I want civility. I want to be able to civilly go out and I want aspirations that I have, that if I need a fair shake at life. I want to be able to go get a loan. I want to be able to go to get educated. I want to be able to get the same education that everybody else. That's it.
Yeah.
You're asking for civility. How do we get to integration? Because integration has nothing to do with civil rights. So if they were convinced to drop the civil rights aspiration and focus more on integration,
make it plain.
We gotta siphon money out of the Black communities because they're growing too fast. And the only people that were upset back then about the pace that Black folks were, go back to the ever branching off Civil War era. You had the Planter Society, you had the Picker Society, and then you had the slaves. Picker Society used to be the slaves. So WASP, white Anglo-Saxon people, anybody that came from England, because we're talking about the colonies.
Right.
So white Anglo-Saxon people, the WASP. And then you had the non-white Picker Society. So the Picker Society, the reason that the Picker Society was created was because when you had the slave uprisings, it was a mixture of Jews, Catholics, Italians, anybody that was over here that was a slave.
Okay.
So then you had the Black and the brown people, which were the Native Americans and the Black slaves. And then you had the mixture of the non-WASP people. So the WASP went to the non-WASP people and was like, look, as long as you don't do what the Black and the Indians are doing, we'll let you work your way out of servitude. We'll call you indentured servants, and you can work your way out of servitude 7 to 13 years.
So like rent the home?
So basically, they were like, as long as they were like, you work for a certain amount of time, and then after a while, you'll be able to go out and start working and getting money, because we ain't paying these folks, so we ain't paying the slaves,
right?
And so we'll let you start making money, and then eventually we'll let you blend into our side. But you can't vote and you can't own land, but you'll be able to work and you'll be able to do other stuff.
So it created like a buffer class?
Right.
Okay.
So at that point, now the years of slavery go through. All of a sudden, Lincoln, the North, the industrial era, was like, well, South getting too much money. And the South's like, man, we'll secede because England loves our tobacco, our cotton, all of the stuff that we're cultivating down here. And we'll have some ships come into Natchez, and New Orleans, and we'll swing ships around the peninsula of Florida and still go do business with England.
Right.
And Lincoln was like, adios, amigos. Oh,
They
what am I
did
gonna
it
do?
again.
And he was like, all right, so what we're gonna have to do, we're gonna have to take away their free slave labor. So the Planter Society or the WASP people was like, let me talk to some of these people that are falling for the illusion of inclusion.
Mhm.
And so that's the non-WASP people, the Picker Society, not the slaves. It was the Buffer Society. They was like,
Okay.
all right, if y'all fight for the South, we're gonna let you in. We're gonna show y'all. We're gonna let y'all start businesses, and we're gonna show you how to get some commerce, and we're going to treat y'all as equals. So all of a sudden, South loses. Guess who gets mad because the freed black slaves are now living the spoils of life because of the end of slavery?
Mm.
It was the poor whites.
Right.
So
They
if we're
still mad.
right,
Okay.
not knowing you're getting fooled by
Woo.
so at that point, if we're fast forwarding to the question that you're asking right now, it's like we're all being
Manipulated.
yes. Yeah. And so it's just like that once you understand that context of that, it explains everything coming forward, because only poor broke people have issues with other people.
Woo.
Anybody that's willing to make money, as long as you can make me some money, I don't give three rats ass about what type of skin complexion you got.
Nothing.
If
You got 3 legs, baby. Come on.
if somebody breaks into my house, we're judgmental. If somebody breaks into my house, I don't care that my next door neighbor, let's say if my next door neighbor were a police officer and he smoked meth and beat his wife on the weekends. If somebody break in my house, bro, come do your job.
Right.
Put the pipe down.
Unless it's gonna help you get here quicker.
Right.
Woo!
So to have a mindset of affliction
Come on.
and all of your being is wrapped around your affliction, that leaves you. If I got my fist and it's gripped tight around 75 cents and I won't let go of this 75 cents to get $5.
Oh, come on, man. Oh my goodness.
it's-
I try to preach that all the time. Woo.
we- that's why I don't take time to argue with people. Because if your argument if you're telling me something good, I can't argue with you.
Do you hear me?
If I don't believe you, I'm not going to interrupt you, so you can go ahead and get finished so I can go on about my way.
Yeah.
It's like, I ain't got time. I'm gonna let everybody be right.
Do you hear me?
Yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you might have to be in my household for me to be like, give you 2 more words. You get what I'm saying? But on the outside of my household, I'm not gonna explain.
You can't.
Yeah, that's too much time for me. I done push way too hard to get away from that. Like, you right.
Yeah.
Everybody right. Go ahead. You know, I ain't got no issue.
Well-
Only beef I want is off that cow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
No doubt.
Yeah.
What we got? What we
Oh, you said something about Martin Luther King, but how do you feel how do y'all feel about Malcolm X leadership then? Because they had 2 different approaches.
Malcolm X was saying what everybody else was saying at that time, and we're approaching the hour now. I will say this about if you listen back at any of what Malcolm X was saying at that time, he was saying, I agree with everybody else. I think segregation is a thing to do. So all of the naysayers to what Martin Luther King was saying at the time, when Malcolm X was saying, no, I believe what the white commentators and the white news and the white politicians are saying. Yeah, we should be segregated, because if you look at it like this, in greater metropolitan areas, everybody self-segregates.
Yes.
And what we hate is when somebody calls us out for being a self-segregated.
Ooh.
Because that's why I go to my church. That's why I shop at my grocery store. That's why I go to this mall and I don't go to that mall.
Come on, make it plain.
That's why when
I can't look at it. Make it plain.
Baby, everybody hate to be called out. And
Yes.
it's just like, I self-segregate because there are people that look like me that I don't want to fool with.
Right. And then we're going to be honest, this is so fun. I'm going to speed this up. Saying self-segregation. I was with a white chick not long ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so a black guy was telling the white chick, yeah, I want you to meet this other white girl and I'm sure you're going to like her. She looked at him and she was like, I don't mind meeting her, but don't tell me I'm going to like her. She was already segregating herself.
Yeah.
She was kind of like, no. I might be vanilla, but I'm over here with y'all. Don't make me. Yeah, people do. Like, seriously, like, hey.
We hate to be called out.
Yeah, she was
for what it is that we think that we. That's why Jay-Z said one time in the interview, most fights start with, what you looking at? And what it is that statement does, if you go back to the backside of that statement, is like, I know what it is that I'm hiding on the inside. Do you see me?
Ooh.
And if you do, I'm going to defend this little weak person or this hurt person or this. That's
strong.
That is
strong.
What you're looking at, and then that's when the fight starts because somebody think that you see them.
Yes. All you see is their appearance. You don't know nothing else. Yeah. And they're carrying that hurt, that insecurity, all
there
that
he is.
on their sleeves.
Yeah.
Nothing is in your pocket.
Mm.
Cause you're ready to fight. Ooh, that's a broke person sport.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm gonna be real.
So I guess it's time for us to provide. We've given them 2 full episodes, and the structure of our podcast is to make sure that we give you enough information, and then we also place everybody in a position where we want to leave our followers and our listeners and our detractors with a solution, because ain't no need of complaining if you don't have a solution-based conversation.
Yes.
We'll talk about the problem for a second, but we can talk about a solution for an infinite amount of time.
Yes.
So now that we've explored the problem, what do you think? What do y'all think the solution would be in terms of our political affiliation and our political, I guess, dependency?
Ooh. We got to be smart about this thing. We got to work smart at this point. We cannot work hard.
Okay.
All right, for me, I feel like we need to align ourselves with or back whatever politician has an agenda that aligns with our interests.
Yes.
So instead of saying, oh no matter what, we're just going to support you because you're the least racist. Even when you look at civil rights, when Lyndon B. Johnson passed legislation in our favor, I mean, even him, it said that he called that the nigger bill. Mm-hmm. And I mean, in today's time, we would say, oh man, he's racist. But at the same time, he did something that appeared to have helped us. But, and we already talked about the effects of, all the legislation since then. But I think that instead of just supporting people out of tradition or, because
emotions.
Yeah. And because grandmama and them did,
yeah.
we need to back, what's going to progress us.
Yeah.
And help us.
Have y'all ever seen any white funeral homes in Jackson?
No. Well, not to say that there aren't any, but I think a solution to that would be, I think the working class, black and white, I think the working class needs to unalign themselves with politicians and political parties.
Yeah.
And not to say that they shouldn't vote, but I think placing themselves in a position where they say, we're only going to vote on issues, and whoever presents us with the best issue and solution, or whoever presents us with the best solution that makes sure that you're getting my vote with something that I'm going to get some equity in the end.
Mhm.
You're not going to get my vote for free.
Yeah.
And I need to make sure, because I don't want you to make me feel better by doing something for me right now.
Mhm.
I want to make sure that we receive some form of equity on the backside years later that cultivate. Because if you're doing something to patch up my bullet hole right now with one of those zit Band-Aids and I'm still bleeding around the Band-Aid,
You gonna die.
Yeah.
So you know that.
yeah. So ultimately, if we can start aligning ourselves per issue, because America's already split 50-50.
Mhm.
If the decisive vote on most issues can be led without political affiliation, but with the understanding of this is going to benefit everybody in the end, as opposed to making somebody feel good right now,
Okay.
the better off we'll be.
Yeah.
Agree.
So that's why, at the beginning of the show, on the first episode, I said, I'm not a Christian or Muslim or Democrat or Republican. I'm trying to place myself in a position where I make my tomorrows better. And some days I'm going to, because of growth, I'm going to be in a position where I don't view things the same as I did Monday.
Right. I was
Yeah.
like, say, yeah, on your stack.
Yeah, because if I know better, I'm gonna do better.
There you go. There you have it right there.
So to say that I am 100% a Democrat or I'm 100% a Republican, well, what if my leadership goes sideways?
Yeah.
So LeBron is a Laker now.
Mhm.
So the people that were following LeBron when he was a Cavalier, I love LeBron and I love the Cavaliers. And then all of a sudden when he traded, it's like, well, now I love the Heat because he's a Heat.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he's wrong. I don't think that they're wrong to have that. But my thing is, okay, stop saying that you're a LeBron and a blah 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 lover.
Yeah.
You're a fan of the person, the basketball player LeBron. Because here's how my mind works. I thought Kobe Bryant was an awful person because of how he conducted himself amongst his comrades. As far as him playing basketball, he was one of the best players to ever do it.
Yes.
And I would punch him in the face for some personal reasons because of if I were in his presence. I thought LeBron James was a phenomenal athlete. Not so much because all the flopping and the whole nine, but I don't think there's a better athlete and I don't think that there's a better human being in his positioning. So I love LeBron as a human, but not as a basketball player. I didn't like Kobe Bryant as a human, but I loved him as a basketball player. I know how to compartmentalize.
Yeah. And that's what keeps you rising above. Like, and people, they'll say, oh, well, you're a flip-flop. No. I welcome change, and I'm an open-minded person, open-hearted person, where I can see the good on where it's actually helping the change. You know what I'm saying, or you know what I'm saying, just helping the cause, the greater cause at that. You know what I'm saying, and so many people are just stuck on, well. He's my favorite player. You know, and they can't see like, he hadn't started in the schools and he hadn't given back. You know, they'll be looking at only he's got a ring. You know, he did. You know what I'm saying? They
got tunnel vision.
Yes, closed-minded. Yeah, and we have a lot of closed-minded Democrats. because they feel like I'm black, I'm supposed to vote Democrat, and I do vote Democrat, so I ain't gonna lie to you. But at the same time, I have opened my eyes to be like, daddy, y'all, and some people, grandparents and parents are like Republicans, and they like, listen, when it's a Republican in the White House or in place, we get stuff done.
Mhm.
And I said this before, a lot of us are Democrat doing Republican stuff.
It's almost like in politics, we were taught the same thing in politics that we were taught in church, where you don't question anything, you just do
Yes.
it. But it's like you're saying, like change is the only constant in life, and when you know better, you're supposed to do better.
You are.
So part 2 of my solution is
Come on now.
when these politicians come to your church or where you are, and they start doing the Wakanda Forever sign
I love
and
you.
and a Dougie, and
Yeah.
wanna give
With the
these
hot sauce
symbolic,
in my bag.
Yeah.
hot sauce in my bag, giving these symbolic gestures. Don't accept that. We gotta hold them accountable. Okay, the bull crap aside, what are you gonna do? Tell me about your specific plan. Like
But see, okay, so okay. That goes back to what I said about indoctrination, because if you, there's 3 levels of indoctrination that I figured out. The first level, and it starts in the church. It's don't seek information, don't be too good or too bad, and learn how to wait for your riches on the back end. And then by that time, the politicians come in and we're like, well, shit, if you believe that,
We got you.
yeah, I got a job over here. I ain't gonna pay you worth shit, but your retirement's gonna be great. And we talked about that.
Mhm.
So with that understanding, it's just like, once we free ourselves from political dependency,
Come on.
at that point in which you free yourself from thinking that you need some one person or a group of someone's, politicians only want to go where they see the community that has become self-sufficient, and they want to align themselves
Come on.
with that particular area. So if I know that my community is in need of XYZ, if I can get together with a group of other men that are in my, and I say my neighborhood, I don't agree with everybody in my neighborhood, and our HOA our HOA is good, but the people are awful. But just because I don't agree with them on everything, and I don't have the free time of bitching and whining like they do, if something good comes up, I'm setting my issues aside and saying, for the betterment of yeah,
Of the neighborhood.
yeah, for the betterment of the neighborhood, because my children and their children are there.
That's right.
So I'm looking out for my neighborhood before I'm looking out for my street. I'm looking out for my neighborhood before I look out for, because there's gonna be a good and a bad side of town. But I'm aligning myself with like-minded people.
Yes.
We are entering into the new phase, because just like we talked about just a minute ago with the civil war ushering, it ended the agricultural era and started the beginning of the industrial era. COVID ended the industrial era and ushered us into the age of AI. So where it is that we are in terms of coming up with new solutions and looking at things differently, only the people with their minds that aren't able to shapeshift, evolve, and expand, those people are going to be the ones that hinder progression.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So there are issues that it's like, every issue deserves some explanation, and somebody that's advocating for you getting a lot without you giving up anything, always be suspicious of that.
Yeah.
Cause like I said last time, you going into a barbecue and you the only one that ain't bringing nothing, and you leaving with everything. Everybody hates you.
Yeah.
They ain't seen.
They really don't want you to come to the next one. They don't even want little JoJo know to tell you about it, you know. So yeah.
Everybody hates you.
Yeah, I'm definitely one. I'd love to see like Black Wall Street come back.
Well, we won't. We'll never have a Black Wall Street until we adopt the mindset of we don't need nobody else.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. That's what we're making our people think and to know.
But we have to
you can do this
from the Democrat Party, though. And I'm not saying align ourselves with the Republican
No,
Party.
no. We should have our own.
Anybody that's preaching dependency,
Yeah,
and not saying self-sufficiency,
yeah.
you don't.
I think if we're self-sufficient, we could also financially back or push our own agendas by not just lobbying for ourselves, but like hiring lobbying firms that have the access to key policymakers. And
That's the American way.
yeah,
That's the only way to get it. You don't march, you don't burn buildings, and you don't protest, and you don't boycott.
I like how the Asians did.
yeah.
You buy
Yeah, you make that phone call.
laws.
No,
You
like
buy
hey,
politicians. You
yeah.
buy respect. You
Yeah.
buy. This is the land of capitalism.
Yes, and that's why I said money makes the whole world go round. So if you don't got none, you can be quiet.
And I'm not saying do it ourselves. By paying somebody that has access to those people already, it's like when you pay for a mentor, you pay for a business
You have to invest.
You're not just paying for their know-how, you're paying for access to their network.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
And I think that's definitely something that we should take advantage of. That's it.
Right. Well, okay. So we all agree that we're in a space that we understand that doing the same thing that we did 10 days ago, 10 years ago, 100 years ago, it hadn't benefited us.
Right.
So tomorrow has to, at least don't do tomorrow what you did today that
Right.
didn't benefit you.
Yeah.
And that is our objective with the Villains podcast. And it's not a villainous mindset in terms of taking advantage of people, but it is a villainous perspective from we are willing to say what does not want to be talked about for the benefit of a progressive tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I look forward to this season with you guys and making sure that we stay edgy and the perspectives that y'all have, and I also want to make sure that people don't get it misconstrued that our podcast is going to be about religion or politics. We're going to talk about social issues that are affecting us immediately. Some are going to be about current events. Some are going to be things about past. Some topics are going to be about just frivolous things that are nuances, and it's not pertaining just to our culture, but things that are, and this was, mainly about our culture, just to go ahead and grab the attention and let people
Right.
know what we're all about. But it's also just a glimpse into how we can explore topics, but for the benefit of a brighter tomorrow.
Yes.
So,
I had another question, but
well, yeah. I think we got a couple more minutes. What is it?
all right. So, and I wanted to ask this earlier, but I forgot. But so leadership, whether it be political or religious, the way I look at leadership as you have to have a servant mentality.
Mhm.
Yes.
You have to serve your people and grow them.
Mhm.
So when you look at politicians that come in and do nothing for the people and become millionaires,
Mm.
do you guys look at those politicians the same as say, a mega church preacher that has a jet?
You know we do. you know we do. You know we do. We like, you see what he doing with that money? Yes. Woo. Take it away, because you already know I'm like, oh man, come on.
If a preacher or a pastor drives his car past people that are poor and the people that are contributing to that nice vehicle that he's driving, I don't blame the preacher. I blame everybody that he getting money from. Cause a crook gonna be a crook.
Come on.
I don't care what line of work that he's crooking from. A crook gonna be a crook.
Yeah.
The people that are falling for what he's selling, it's just like, I don't. When the people that pick up a snake and they're on TV and they're like holding it, and all of a sudden that snake latch onto their face, I'm thinking to myself, the snake doing snake stuff.
Yes.
The bear's doing bear stuff.
Yeah.
The mountain lion is doing mountain lion stuff. So it's like, I can't believe that rhino ran into the side of that truck. Oh my God, did you see the leopard attack that lady? The lady shouldn't have been out of the vehicle.
It's shark season. They out there swimming. Everybody losing limbs right now. Every morning you turn the TV on and somebody is missing.
Because
something.
I'm a human being and I get to go explore everywhere I want to go.
Yeah.
And the shark is in
my territory.
I'm the ocean king.
Yes. Come on. I got something for you.
I'll never be a victim of gang retaliation violence. I don't go where gangs are.
Come on.
So I can't be taken advantage of by those. And I said that to say, these people that are contributing to politicians that have $180,000 jobs, and in 5 years they're worth $6 billion or $6 million. That sounds like Biden now. And at the same time, if a pastor is fleecing his constituents, and there's so much money circulating that he's got a $300,000, $400,000 car or $1 million jet, it's like, oh, y'all stupid.
Yeah, because what the jet for? It can't fit the congregation on there. You know what I'm saying? You know he ain't finna take y'all nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
We have situations like Joel Osteen, where he wouldn't even let those people come into church.
And they still down there going. People still putting memes up.
Yeah.
Do you think he's wrong?
Joel
Or do you
Osteen?
think, he was wrong, or do you think his congregation is wrong for not holding him accountable for how he treated the poor?
That's where self-segregation made those people think that they were okay with, oh no, he did what's best for the church.
Yeah.
And they secretly saying, you don't want none of them trash ass folks coming up here tearing up our shit. You see what they did to their own shit.
Yeah.
You see what they did to their own shit. You think we're gonna let them come up in here and trash out?
That's why I said they gotta
we
think
not
about
gonna
it.
do that. Yeah, and I'm not, and bro, and I think we need to end with it.
Okay, because you know we can really get started from this right now. 'cause I'm-
Bonus content.
Yeah, this is.
So think about it like this. There's a difference between poverty and nasty.
Come on.
Because we all know some old wise people that that were pillars of the community, or just old and didn't have much. I remember growing up and I used to see old ladies raking their dirt yards.
Yeah.
They were getting all the dirt off. I mean, they were getting all the rocks off of it and all the leaves off of it. And that old stuff stayed clean, even though you knew that it was old.
Oh, yeah.
Now you can get somebody with a new house And that old car is gonna be parked out front, and the grass gonna be growing up around, and then they're gonna use the car as storage, and then nobody's wiping off the door. It don't cost you nothing to go get a wet rag to wipe your door off.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So nasty and poverty are two totally different things. Cause there's some people that got some old stuff that take care of. Like, yeah, it's old, but it's clean.
Yeah.
I remember at one point, 8th grade, 7th grade, I had a light pair of jeans, dark pair of jeans, and red pair of jeans. That's all I had. And if I was shit out of luck if I forgot what day I wore them damn red pants. But my folks made sure that those 3 pair of jeans stayed
Was
clean.
clean. That's
You
right.
still became Mr. Rankin.
You know,
Mr. Northwest Rankin, you hear me? Nobody knew he only had 3 pair of pants. Plenty of shirts.
all right, y'all. So till the next time, we'll the next topic we're working out the kinks for it, and we're gonna be able to present it, and it's gonna be fun, and I think
Yes.
it's gonna be exciting because now that we've gotten this first one out of the way, we're gonna be ready to bring the followers and the fans what it is that they looking for.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Put all your comments in the bottom and make sure you it's a good comment because we don't respond to stupid people. All right, thank
No
y'all.
negativity.
I respond.